It can be so tempting this time of year to spend money on all of the new makeup that is being released. These brands, they are getting ready for holiday, they're getting ready for the Sephora sale, they are pulling out all the stops and coming for our wallets. And just like you, I am on a budget. Even as a beauty influencer, I cannot buy everything. And so in this video today, I want to talk about the new makeup releases that I have gotten the most DMs about over the past week or two. And I'm going to tell you why I am not going to be buying this makeup. Not to be negative or anything, all right? I love makeup, you love makeup, it's just makeup, but more so to bring a different perspective to what is about to be a very hyped up, very salesy part of the year. Let's just get it out of the way and start off with the new Makeup by Mario palette. This is the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes Moonlight. A lot of you guys are familiar with the Ethereal Eyes palette that launched. Was it last holiday? It was limited edition, very big release, very popular, very neutral Mario palette. He has come out with a new version, and this one is a little bit more cool tone. I'm gonna give it to Mario. This is very on brand for him. It looks very Makeup by Mario. The color story is really beautiful. It's really accessible. It's very wearable. I think that the average makeup wearer is going to have a pretty easy time creating beautiful looks with this palette. But other than that, guys, it's just another neutral palette. If you cover up the little blue and, you know, maybe even the black, because the last one didn't have a black and that was a critique that I had in my review. If you cover up the blue, it's just a neutral palette. And I wonder, why is this the neutral palette that everybody wants compared to all of the other neutral palettes that are at Sephora or ones that I've reviewed here on my channel? Because if you guys recall, when I bought this and reviewed this here on my channel, I was not super impressed with the formula. I didn't think that it was a $68 palette. I thought that the looks I created were beautiful, but I didn't think the formula was super luxury. The mattes are very powdery, dare I say dusty. I know, I hate to be mean here, guys. I didn't think the mattes were very good. The foil effect, or the wet effect shimmers, I should say, they are pretty, but they did irritate my eyes a lot. I know it irritated the eyes of a lot of my subscribers, and I was able to dupe those shadows with a couple other ones in my collection. So I'm not buying this, guys. I don't think the formula is that good. I don't think the color story is particularly novel or unique. And it's like, what, am I gonna buy this so I can show my subscribers how I can dupe it a million times over with other palettes that are in my collection? If I'm gonna go for something super basic, I'm probably gonna go for like Esum shadows or Viseart shadows, or maybe even something a little bit simpler, maybe one of my Tom Ford palettes or a Chanel palette. There are so many beautiful cool tone color stories out there that I think are just better formulated. I can link some down in the description box down below if you want some recommendations. Because there's so many releases these days, I get so many questions from my subscribers on what is best, should I buy this or that? And this is a case where I can say confidently, I feel like there's better out there. It's not bad makeup. I understand why you would be tempted by this or why you might actually buy it, maybe in the Sephora sale, because it is gonna be a very beautiful palette. But in this case, I just think that there's better out there. The last palette I actually returned, so I just don't want to be wasteful this year, and that's why I'm not buying this palette. And you know what, by the way, if you are enjoying this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. It seriously does make a difference, guys. I really appreciate it. And if you are new here, hi, welcome. My name is Sophia, and this is my channel that is all about having fun with luxury beauty. I talk about all the new releases. I review a lot of makeup here on my channel, and we talk about what is going on in the beauty industry. So if that interests you, hit that subscribe button to join our fam. We would love to have you. Any of the makeup that is on my face today, guys, because I always get questions, it's all going to be linked in the description box down below, along to any of these new releases that are already available. If I haven't talked you out of them and you want to check them out, I will list them in the description box. Traveling to the other side of the spectrum, we have the Natasha Denona Roxa palette, or Roxa. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it yet. I just saw some sneak peeks of this palette, so forgive me, friends. This is not a neutral palette, and I will say, I do commend Natasha for trying to release something a little bit different and also something, you know, a little bit more glitz and glam for holiday. She came out with the golden palette. People were like, neutral. She came out with the I Need a Warm palette. People were like, more warm, more neutral. And now she came out with this and people seem to be pretty divided. And I'm on the side of, I don't really know where she's going with this, guys. And I really don't want this palette because while it is a little bit more colorful than what she's done before, if you take a look at this palette, it kind of just looks like a lot of the pink palettes that she has done in the past. I think it looks a lot like the original Love palette, but with more glitter, more like little duochromes and whatnot, you know, mixed in. It's not that different. It also reminds me of a lot of the little like pink Valentine's Day types of palettes that she's done. Like she's gonna do another pinky thing in January, in just a couple of months. We all know this, for Valentine's Day. Why are we getting another like pinky purple palette from Natasha Denona? I don't know where she's going with this because none of the colors in this palette as well are like particularly trendy. If you guys know what I'm talking about, the colors that have been very trendy this year have been pops of blue, which honestly, I felt like that would be beautiful. I would love to see kind of like a blue and neutral kind of palette, something a little bit like earthier and grungier, going off of, you know, maybe like a Byredo Mineralscapes type of color story. If you guys know what I'm referencing, I'll put some photos up here. The burgundy and maroon shades are also very in. There is one reddish burgundy shade in this palette, but again, the rest of the palette doesn't really fit that trend. So it's not really trendy and it's not particularly appealing, at least to me. The other thing about this palette is that, I don't know about you guys, but it looks a little bit cheapy to me. And a lot of you said this also, but it's starting to look a little bit like Huda, especially with some of those ones in the middle, like the one that has the little swirl. There's really no point to having the shadow look that way other than just visual appeal and marketing. A lot of the shadows in this palette, at least from the early sneak peek swatches that I've seen on her Instagram page, are going to be very glittery, and I don't mind a little bit of glitz and glam, especially for holiday, but I'm starting to feel like some of her palettes and a lot of her releases are looking a little bit, like I said, cheapy, maybe even a little bit childish. Like there's nothing particularly elegant about this palette, and it's not because it's pinks and purples, because so many brands have done pinks and purples. It doesn't seem particularly sophisticated for me, and I know her brand is more artistic and she has the neutral palettes, but I do think that there is a way to do color in a more sophisticated way. Again, Byredo Mineralscapes palette. She's done this before. In fact, hold on, I pulled out one of her older palettes here. This is the purple and blue. There are some very vibrant colors in here. There are very pigmented shades in here. In fact, all the shades are pigmented, but some of the colors are a little bit softer. This is a very elegant color story. It's a great mixture of kind of very saturated, bright colors and also more desaturated colors. And I'm not saying this is exactly what she should do, but I would love to see her take this like purple and blue type of concept and make it into a midi palette. And you know what? Here's another example of a purple palette that I feel like is done in the way that I'm imagining. This is the Viseart Violette palette. You have some very vibrant shades, but you also have some beautiful dusty mauves in here to kind of balance out some of the brighter shades and the more vibrant purples. You can go very colorful, you can go very soft, and there's no chunky glitters. I can link this one down below. This is more of like what I would have liked to have seen from Natasha Denona, more of like a blue-based purple, not super pink, which we have seen, not super red, which many of us don't like, but more of a blue-based purple mixed with some of these beautiful soft neutrals. And you know what? If you want to throw in some of the glitter toppers and maybe a little duochrome, go for it, because I feel like those can be really fun, you know, if used in moderation. So that's why I'm not really interested in this, guys. Maybe I will pick it up if I see the swatches, if I see it in person, and you know, the collector in me is like, oh, I just have to have it because I get all of her midi palettes. But at least at this point, guys, you know, as somebody who is on a budget and has other things that I want to buy this holiday season, this ain't it. The Chanel Holiday Collection. We've had a lot of discussions about this in my DMs. Some of you hate it, some of you love it. A lot of you have asked me, am I going to review this? And I'm not. I'm not buying anything from this collection. And you guys know, whether I like a collection or not, I normally blindly buy these collections from Chanel to review them here on my channel because it is the most popular brand here on my channel. I mean, I talk about luxury makeup, but I was actually able to take a look at this collection in one of the Chanel boutiques and play around with the products. And I decided I'm not gonna be picking up anything from this collection. And so I'm gonna tell you why. But first, let me quickly refresh your memory on what is in this collection. First off, we have the Face and Eye palette. This is called Enchanted Night. It's got the pink, the purple, the orange, the silver, and this is not an eyeshadow palette. This is an oversized palette. So it's intended to not only go on your eyes as eyeshadow, but also on your face as blush and highlighter. Keep that in mind, okay? We're gonna come back to this. There's also a highlighter. This one is called Diamond Dust. Diamond Dust, that should tell you a little bit about the formulation. Again, we're gonna get to that in a second. For Rouge à Lèvres L'Extrait, those are the kind of like hydrating lipsticks from Chanel. There's also 2 Rouge à Lèvres Lac. Those are the shiny liquid lipsticks, 2 liquid eyeliners, and there's 2 nail polishes. Okay, let me go through this, guys. The Enchanted Night eyeshadow palette. I know a lot of you guys hate these colors. You think they are so tacky, they're garish. A lot of people said they thought it looked very 80s. I don't know if that's a pro or a con. I don't hate these colors, I don't, but I don't think it makes any sense to have this be an oversized palette. Why couldn't this have just been a little regular eyeshadow palette? I don't really see myself putting a metallic silver on my cheeks. Where exactly is that going? Is that supposed to be a highlighter? I don't really want to put a shimmering, sparkly, bright pink on my cheeks. I like bright pink blush, but if you take a look at the swatches here, the swatches show that the formula is quite glittery. I don't want all this glitter from Chanel. What are they doing? And you know what? I asked the makeup artist at the boutique, why is it so big? Why couldn't it have just been a small one? And he said, so you'll have it forever. So you'll have it forever. Like, it's gonna expire eventually. There have been some really beautiful looks created with this, and I'm sure I could create some beautiful looks, but I just don't really think that most of my subscribers are realistically going to wear this because of the colors, because of the format, and because of the glitter. Moving along, the highlighter. Once again, so much glitter. So much glitter. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, because I thought it was gonna be like the mermaid one that they did earlier this year. It wasn't that bad, and because it's like a beigey tone, it's a little bit more wearable. But once again, so much glitter from Chanel. I'm looking for like that beautiful, smooth, soft, elegant formula. That's what I want from Chanel. I don't mind fun colors. I don't mind playing around with different textures, but it is Chanel. I am looking to them to make those colors wearable and accessible to me, if that makes sense. The Rouge à Lèvres L'Extrait, I think that those products are so overpriced. It's like $50-something for one of them, and you get very little product, and there's so many brands out there who have done the shiny hydrating lipsticks. I've been giving you guys a lot of different alternatives in some of my recent videos. They're just too overpriced. Overall, I'm a little bit on the fence right now with Chanel, because on the one hand, I do appreciate that they're playing around with more interesting themes, colors, different finishes. And I do think that seasonal collections should be just that. They should be seasonal. They should be different than what you can get in the main line. If you want an everyday palette, there should be something in the main collection that can satisfy, you know, the average shopper looking for a neutral palette with a certain undertone. I don't think that every seasonal collection should be this like wearable neutral palette. I feel like that would be so boring. I think that seasonal collections should be different, and I think that they should be special. That's the word that I'm looking for here. I think that they should be special, but special doesn't mean fun colors. It doesn't necessarily mean glitter. You need to think of what special means for your customer, for the Chanel customer. And I think with Chanel, they're just kind of missing the mark here a little bit on the types of color stories we think would be special. Not every collection, but a lot of the collections recently. And also, the quality of the formulations needs to be special and needs to be relevant. And the packaging does as well. The packaging really isn't special from Chanel. When I look at something like Guerlain, granted, I don't like every color story that they do either, but the packaging does feel special. It does feel like you're getting something super luxurious. And when I pick up a lot of these seasonal Chanel products, they don't feel special, either with the packaging, the formulation, the color story, the theme, whatever it may be. This collection, while I think there were some fun colors, I just felt like, once again, it missed the mark in so many ways, and that's why I'm not picking it up. I received so many DMs the other week when Hourglass dropped these 3 face palettes. And you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second, Sophia. Haven't we talked about these palettes? Haven't we talked ad nauseum about the Hourglass holiday palettes? The dragon, the evil eye, the lotus. Isn't this old news? Isn't it? You would think. You would think it would be old news, but no, friends. Hourglass, they said, you know what? 3 holiday palettes isn't enough. We're going to drop 3 more. And actually, they didn't all drop at once. They first launched this palette right here. This palette is in collaboration with Barney's. If you're not familiar with Barney's, they are a department store, or they were a department store. They went out of business a couple years ago. I can't remember the exact year. And this year, I believe in Soho, they're doing a Barney's pop-up. It may already be over, so don't quote me on this, guys. But they are doing a special pop-up. They partnered up with Hourglass, and they launched this special Barney's X Hourglass limited edition palette. Sounds good, right? Super creative, right? What they really didn't tell people is that this is actually the elephant palette from 2 holidays ago, just repackaged in this Barney's limited edition packaging. And you know what? I'm like not super bothered if Hourglass or any other brand does repeat shades, especially if those shades make sense for the release. But in this case, I really feel like they kind of misled people in thinking that this was something new, something creative, when it's not. It's just a repackaged thing that they had launched 2 years prior. Like, if you're going to partner up with Barney's, who, you know, I didn't really shop there because I didn't have the money at the time, but I'm pretty sure Barney's was kind of known for having a really interesting, very well curated buy. You'd think that if they were going to be partnering with Barney's, they would come up with like a creative concept for how they wanted these palettes to be arranged. You would think it would be a creative collaboration, but instead it was very copy and paste. And so not only did I not like the fact that they just repackaged the elephant palette, but I also didn't like the fact that it was made to be this like really cool collaboration with Barney's. That just rubbed me the wrong way. So that's why I didn't buy this palette. But going back to what I was saying, that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. After so many people, mostly I guess people who are fans of Barney's, bought that palette, they came out with 2 more palettes. These ones right here. And so many people were asking me like, oh, are you gonna buy these? Are you going to review them? No, guys, because it just feels greedy. It just is way too much. Way too much. Going back to what I said about Chanel, it doesn't feel special anymore if you're just coming out with 6 palettes. I like these palettes. I think if one of the Barney's ones really suits your skin tone and you can really see yourself using all the shades, go for it. You're probably going to like it. Am I going to promote them? No, I am not. You know what I think happened, guys? I don't know if this is true. This is just my hypothesis. I think that they were delayed on this shipment and this collaboration. I think that they probably originally were going to launch just these 2 palettes, and they probably did go through and like select each of the shades. I think that they got delayed, or the pop-up was moved up in launch, and I think that they probably were rushed and they were like, you know what, let's just take the elephant palette and repackage that. And then once we sell through that, then we can launch these when we get this shipment. I don't know if that's actually the case, guys. I'm not trying to like spread gossip, but that's what it looked like to me as a consumer, is what I'm saying, all right? That's how it looked to me as a consumer. I would love to hear your thoughts about this. I love Hourglass as a brand, and I really do like these palettes, but I do think that they are very overhyped. I don't want people to feel like they have to collect these all the time. Personally, I felt like this whole Barney's launch, it just came across as like kind of lazy, not super organized, and a little bit greedy. So that's why it's a no from me. And that is it, my friends. That is all the saltiness that I have for you today. I hope that it didn't offend or upset anybody. Remember, guys, it's just makeup. I'm just trying to offer a different perspective because these collections are so hyped up. So hopefully you enjoyed this today. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on these new releases. I would love to hear your opinion. And let me know if there's any other collections that you want me to talk about next time. Give me a big thumbs up if you have a quick second. I would really appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, friends, I hope that you see some beauty in your day, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye.